Hello everyone, hope you're all having yet another amazing day. Welcome to another video, and this one's going to be on isolation exercises versus compound movements. Okay, so there is a significant difference in the effect of a compound movement has on the body over an isolation exercise. Okay, both compound movements and isolation exercises have a much different effect on the results we see in the gym, and I personally believe you should always do a mixture of both movements in almost all of your workouts. Okay. A compound movement is any exercise that engages two or more different joints to fully stimulate entire muscle groups and multiple muscles at the same time. Put simply, a compound movement is an exercise that works more than one muscle group at a time. Okay? A major benefit of using compound movements is the load of stress that they exert through the target muscles and neighboring muscle to target that muscle. Okay? They really break your muscles down really well. An example of a compound movement would be the squat or the deadlift. So when you're performing these exercises, the whole body is forced to work together as a whole to complete the movement, producing a lot more stress on multiple large muscle groups at any one given time. Okay, so when you put your entire body under this much stress multiple times per workout, you actually benefit from a large hormone release. So training to failure using the compound movements maximizes the amount of growth hormone and testosterone that the body produces in a workout, which in turn is going to increase the rate that your muscles can absorb protein, and is also going to allow for faster recovery and greater muscle growth. Now, another reason for utilizing compound movements over isolation exercises is the fact that a compound movement will actually break the muscle down a lot faster, which eliminates the need to include excessive isolation exercises. And this could save you time in your workout and maximize efficiency and time spent in the gym. So compound movements are exercises like chin-ups, push-ups, bent over rows, squats, deadlifts, leg press, etc. So basically any exercise where you're working more than one major muscle group at a time. Okay. For example, when you're squatting, you're using your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings, and all of your core muscles. Okay. Another example is when you're doing chin-ups, you're basically using every single muscle in your back. You're using your biceps, and you're also using your forearms as well. You can logically understand the stress that an exercise like the squat and chin-up and all other compound movements place on the body is a lot more than, let's say, an isolation exercise like a dumbbell curl where you're only really using your biceps. So compound movements are much harder both on your muscles and your central nervous system, and they do help build muscle faster than what an isolation exercise does. So in saying that though, what actually helps you build muscle faster than a compound movement alone is a compound movement with an isolation exercise put together. Now, what an isolation exercise is any exercise in which one major muscle group is being trained by itself. So typically the movement is done in such a way where the activation of all other muscle groups is avoided. So this leaves one muscle group isolated and is forced to do all of the work, placing maximum stress on that one individual muscle. Okay, so I just need to say that there really is no such thing as a full isolation exercise, because we all have muscles in our forearms at work when we grip bars or dumbbells, but as a general consensus, isolation exercises are targeted one major muscle group at a time. So an example of an isolation exercise is the leg extension. So when you're going through the movement of the leg extension, all of the stress and the tension from the exercise is being placed entirely on the quads. So if you're squatting, you're using your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings, and your core muscles, but when you're doing a leg extension, all of that stress is placed solely on your quads, and that's what makes it an isolation exercise, because that muscle is isolated. Okay. Another example of an isolation exercise would be a dumbbell or cable fly. So when you're going through the movement of a cable or dumbbell fly, you're focusing all of the tension and the strain on the exercise on your chest, obviously assuming that your form is correct. So if you compare to, let's say, the bench press, you're working your entire chest, your triceps, possibly your front delts, and all of your core muscles as well. Isolation exercises hit one muscle group at a time, whereas compound movements hit multiple groups at a time. You see what I'm saying? So based on what I've told you so far, I think we would come to the conclusion that you are going to break down your muscles a lot faster using compound movements, which is going to create more tears in the muscle, which is going to allow the muscle to absorb more food, which is going to build the muscle back bigger and stronger. So yes, compound movements are going to help build muscle faster than an isolation exercise alone, but what's going to help build muscle faster than a compound movement is actually combining compound movements and isolation exercises in the same workout. Now, in every workout I ever do, I always do a mixture of both compound movements and isolation exercises because I always want to be getting the full benefit from my workout. So this is a simple generalization, but basically compound movements are going to help build and grow the muscle, whereas isolation exercises focus more on the shape and the cut of the muscle. I personally believe that the perfect physique is not just a big slab of muscle. I believe it's a big slab of muscle in proportion to the rest of your body with perfect shape and perfect symmetry. So if you're going for that look where you want to be really well shaped and well defined, just doing compound movements alone will not get you there. You need to incorporate isolation exercises as well. So if your goal is to get strong, I would focus most of your workouts predominantly on compound movements alone. But like I said, I don't personally like the powerlifter look, and that's not what I train for. I admire it and respect the insane strength that they have, but personally I like bodybuilding and I like to train to look good, not to be so strong. So the best way to train to look good and to be strong at the same time is to incorporate both compound movements and isolation exercises together. So combine that with the correct diet for your goals, combine this with as much rest as possible, and that is what is going to get you the best results. So everything goes hand in hand and everything is just as important as the other. So I've said multiple times before that every workout I ever do is different. So this is just an example, but I'm going to go through what a sample chest workout would look like for me and show you how to effectively incorporate both isolation exercises and compound movements in the same workout. So it is different all the time, but generally when I start a chest workout, I either start it with bench press, Smith machine press, or dumbbell press, because I'm strongest at the start of my workout, which means I can lift a heavier weight, which is going to create more tears in the muscle from the very start of the workout. So I'd do 4 to 6 sets of bench press, including a warm-up, and then I would move to another compound movement like the dumbbell bench press or the Smith machine bench press. So basically I would start the workout using 2 different compound movement exercises because I personally like to do them when I'm at my absolute strongest, which is the very start of the workout. So after I complete my 2 compound movement exercises, I'd focus more on some isolation exercises like the dumbbell flies or cable flies. Okay, so going from a compound movement where you've just completed 5 to 15 sets of training your muscles to absolute failure, then moving across to an isolation exercise is just going to rip your chest up that little bit more. So when I do isolation exercises, this is where I really love to incorporate techniques like drop sets and supersets and pause reps with a hard squeeze when full tension is being placed on the muscle. So there's no real risk of dropping the weight on top of you and you're placing minimal stress on your joints. You can really push yourself to your absolute limits and train to full failure when you're performing those isolation exercises. So I would do, let's say, 3 or 4 drop sets of an isolation exercise like cable flies or dumbbell flies to the point where my muscles are in physical pain. So isolation exercises done properly create a huge burning sensation in the muscle and basically just finish the job off from which the compound movement started off. So I like to try and visualize it in my head. Compound movements are nice and heavy with good form, really placing maximum stress on the load of the muscle, breaking it down to the point where you can't do another rep. Then you move on to the move from the compound movement to the isolation exercise and just train till your muscles feel like they're on fire. They're burning. Now really high reps, really high intensity, really maximize the amount of tears created in the muscle. So when you actually picture the muscle being broken down in your head, you can understand the kind of stress that you're placing on that muscle and how many tears that you're creating. It makes a lot more sense to train this way. So now I'm going to explain something different to you, and this is why bodybuilding creates so much conflicting information and it's so confusing to a lot of people. Now I've just told you that I would generally start my workout using all compound movements and then move across to isolation exercises to finish off the muscles and complete the workout. However, it doesn't always have to be like that. You can pre-exhaust the muscles in a different way as well. So if you start off with your isolation exercises and pre-fatigue them before you move on to your big compound exercises, that's a totally different way of training as well, and just a way to mix things up if you want, and trick your muscles into thinking they're under a completely different kind of load. But again, it's all about your training intensity and how much you can break your muscles down in a workout. So the more tears that you create, the better. So all my videos on training techniques and training principles are always going to lead back to the same conclusion, because what I'm saying is correct. There is no right or wrong way to break your muscles down. Mix it up, be creative, and once again, make sure you are training to 100% intensity. Okay? It doesn't matter if you do 25 sets of bench press for your workout and that's it, you're still going to create major tears in the muscle, which is then going to build back bigger and stronger, given you are eating and resting. It doesn't matter if you do 25 sets of isolation exercises like dumbbell or cable flies, if you do it at that 100% intensity and train till you cannot lift another single weight. It doesn't matter if you do isolation exercise first or compound movements first, it's all correct. It's all going to contribute to you breaking down your muscles as much as you possibly can in a single workout. As long as you're training at 100% intensity and training the muscle to full failure, where all you're doing it's just going to work incredibly well. Okay, it's best not to overcomplicate things. I know I'm talking a lot, which is probably sounding complicated, but it's best not to overcomplicate things when you train. It really is all so simple, given that the intensity is there and the work ethic is there as well. So your muscles don't care how you've broken them down. All that matters to you is trying to get in the shape so that we break the muscles down as much as we possibly can. Once we finish the workout, we eat and eat and eat very good nutritious foods, all the right times, and we rest and sleep to recover. It's all so easy. Training's fun. It is hard work, but it's fun. You should never be stressing about your workout or not knowing whether what you're doing is correct. Everything's correct as long as it's done with good form and maximum intensity, and you train till you have literally nothing left in the tank and it feels like your muscles are going to explode. Okay? The harder you train, the more variations you add into your workouts, the better your results are going to be. I want you to check out all my exercise demonstration videos so that you can make sure that your form is correct and you know what you're doing when you're going through the exercises. I also want you to watch all of my full workout videos with the voiceovers so that you can see the intensity that you need to be training at and how to include different variations. Combine them together with the eating and the correct foods and at the correct times, and you'll see results faster than you can imagine. Okay? It really is very simple, guys. Don't overcomplicate things, don't overthink it, just have fun, enjoy your training, put in the work, and you'll see incredible results fast. Thanks for listening again, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.